Kira jalan lagi.
Mbak.
Kerjaan kalian lagi baik banget ya?
Lumayan, tapi santai.
Okay, thank you for all of our friends here who join us. So now we're on the screens with coming from several cities and location. Erick Calilan is in Cavite, Philippines. Turkey is in Malaysia, and Mark Wong in Singapore. And our host and storyteller this evening in this Walkie Talkie session 10, which is written session X, which is Roman numeric code. So this is the 10th edition of the Walkie Talkie since it was started since last year. And this evening we have Anitha Silvia, who's in Surabaya, will be the host and storyteller. The Walkie Talkie is a hanging out, telling stories to connect with some friends, where proximity doesn't refer to something geographical or physical. It's about stories on what it means to work and live together. So thank you, Anitha Silvia, for your time to be the host and our storyteller with your guest. You will introduce, Anita will introduce the guest later, but I will start by introduce Anitha Silvia, which is sometimes called as Tinta. She's based in Surabaya. He traveled in several cities in Indonesia and I think also in Southeast Asia. And she participated in many events. Like he's also organized a library and also a band, I think, and also doing some. And also she participated a workshop that we organized in Ruangrupa, Jakarta, a couple of years ago. Then maybe she will also mention that. So I'm not going to be longer here, and then I give the mic to Tinta or Anitha Silvia to continue. Tinta, it's yours to continue. we can't hear you. Would you turn on the mic? Would you turn on your mic?
Sorry. Good evening, everyone, especially for Joki, Eric, and Mark. Thank you for time. Hello. Thank you for your time to join this nongtong. We call nongtong in bahasa Indonesia.
Bisa.
Lepak in Malay, I guess. And I don't know in Tagalog. Later, Eric. So this evening, we will. I guess I start to my in 2018. I traveled to Philippines for the first time in December, and I met Eric in Metro Manila, not in Cavite. And then after Manila, I go to Singapore for February, and I met Mark that time for the first time. It's very nice time. 3 days, I guess 3 days. February is like so for the Radio Kaji, it's very remind me of the February festival. There's many things happen in one time, so it's great time to remind my visit also for the first time for the February play freely. And after Singapore, that time in December, I overland to Malaysia. Malaysia is like already like my second country, a second place for me. In 5 years, I always visiting Malaysia. So, but I guess it's also my first time to meet Joki in 2018. I visit his place in Zhongzhen. So it's it's nice to catch up online this year with your kids. And also it's in only this month. Your kid produced 2 episodes, and Mark with the observatory produced the 4 episodes since last year with like at the radio. It's a very good listener. I'm very glad to only become less listener. So it's a great chance also to have this lepak nongkrong
Ya, lepak-lepak.
with you guys in so I guess it's first I will introduce Eric yang paling jauh, the first from Surabaya. I mean, like I have to transit in Jakarta or Bali to visit Manila. So in Surabaya belum not yet have the direct flight to Manila. So Eric.
Yes, hello.
Eric
hello.
yeah. Eric I met Eric for the first time in Jakarta for Nusa Sonic 2018 in October for 1 month. It's very great time to spend all the Southeast Asia artists, musicians in 1 month in Jakarta, and then for the next month I visit Manila, and I follow Eric visiting a few Zin Fair in Quezon and in Manila.
Yeah.
And I saw Eric very like curious every lapak, we call lapak, every kiosk there, Eric will be looking for something, and I'm just following. I'm just following him. But I don't have a chance to visit Eric in Cavite, Dharma. Let's go in the city, Dharma. Yes.
Yeah, but you went to my province, which is like 2 hours away from Manila.
Yeah, Tanjak right?
Yeah.
To see Taal.
Yes, the active volcano.
Thank you for taking me there. The name of the park is People Park, right? In Tagal.
Yeah. It's like a People's Park. Yeah, it's in the highest point. Yeah, the highest point.
I guess I don't remember in Indonesia we have that name, People Park. We just call alun-alun. So it's a very nice name, People Park.
I see.
So yeah, and I'm lucky. Eric always posting any news, any amazing news from Philippines. Philippines for me is like it's very close from Sulawesi. Yeah, we have a joke that Philippines is North Sulawesi and not Celebes.
Okay.
But it's like not very have a good access for any information easily about Philippines. So I'm glad like Jokit always put the Philippines musician on his radio show, and also Eric always repost the very interesting news from Philippines, and also updating about his digitizing the cassette, the tape, the poster, or anything on Facebook. I hope you on Twitter so it's easy to repost.
Twitter? I don't have Twitter. I only have Facebook. Yeah.
Even like I guess more. Green Papaya just only have a Twitter last year, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's very nice. I have on my Twitter. I have Philippines friends. I hope you on Twitter is one of my my favorite social media platform. So yeah, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks.
I will introduce Mark. Singapore. From Singapore, I quite rare to visit Singapore just on transit. So yeah.
How many days were you in Singapore?
But mostly I just only transit. I always go to Malaysia for weeks, 1 week, and then go to Singapore for only transit, maybe a few hours overland, and then going back to Indonesia. Take flight from Singapore and going back to Indonesia. Mostly I just before I met you guys, I only visit books actually, and National Library for so. And I'm glad that your partner is a former worker at National Library, right?
Yeah, you remember. That's right.
Yeah. So I met her at the library. It's very cool. I think I meet her at the library, at National Library. So it's for me it's like Singapore. Most like it's very easy to only for transit, maybe because I'm mostly I always curious about Malaysia, so Singapore to buy books and go to National Library to read about Malaysia and Indonesia. But it's also I can see how very good Singapore in through the archives and else from your releases on Black Kaji records, because you also record the live performance from very great artists in Singapore. This is easy, not easy. It will be easy to perform in Singapore as a hub with a lot of festival and fundings and else, and the good resources also. So it's I can see it on your also very good archive and releases from Black Kaji. But unfortunately, I never have a chance to come to Black Kaji events. But at least I go to the library, so I'm not. Yeah, so it's a great time to meet you in person. I also impressed that Mark also worked at the National Audio Archive, if I'm not mistaken. You still work there, Mark?
No, it's like, but I mean, I do like oral history work.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Mark is the art curator from the bio that I read. It's an art curator, so it's music writer also, and also running a very good label based in Singapore since 2011. Name is Uji Kaji. Uji Kaji is Malay word of even in also in Bahasa Indonesia, but we not really use that because only Uji experiments. Uji Kaji. But yeah, we just use Uji in Bahasa Indonesia. So Uji Kaji label since 2011, right, Mark?
Yeah.
And
that was the first release.
It's very first release, and it's very even if very various variant releases. Even I'm not very digging into the experimental music, but it's very give me surprises. Maybe the last releases is from the Joshua. I love the video.
Great, yeah.
I love the video, so it's a very great one. And also since last year, because Black Kaji also cannot be they cannot do the live show. So Mark and the observatory gang produced the very great show, Black Kaji Radio, but only 4 episodes. But it's very well done. I mean, like you can check the website, and it says there's a transcript of the interview, all the description about the tracks, and then it's very just like reading the books while you listen to the Black Kaji Radio. It's a very good one. And it's just what else? Yeah. And Mark live in Little India. You live in the downtown Singapore. It's very great, right?
Yeah, so I kind of like
Okay, maybe that's the short introduce. Yeah, Mark?
yeah. No, it's just really near
Yeah?
near a lot of the venues as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty convenient.
I can imagine it's a walking
Kind
distance
of get
to
the vibe of the
library.
city. Yeah,
It's a walking distance to National Library.
it's walking
My
distance
favorite
to
place in
everything.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Great fun. So that's my short introduction to Mark. And then I will introduce you Jokit, but everyone will know Jokit. I guess everyone.
Yeah, we be friends. We met each other quite, I mean, we met Eric a long time ago, and of course Mark, So yeah.
So yeah, Jokit is a hardcore rock and roll archivist based in Kuala Lumpur, and he also live in the downtown in Bangsa, Lower Bangsa, right?
Yes.
Lower Bangsa.
Important. Lower Bangsa.
Lower Bangsa. And it is walking distance to the Bangsa station, I hope.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, but I cycle most of the time. I don't, I don't take trains much. Or if I need to go somewhere real far, then I get a Grab or something like this. I don't drive. So, yeah.
Me too. I'm too lazy. I cannot drive. So
I can't. Last year I tried to get
you have license?
a license for motorcycle and also a car. And halfway through, I got busy. I didn't go. So I paid a lot of money, but I never finished it. So I have to go back, I guess. Yeah.
I met Jokit at his place. So he after first place in Annex, I just heard story about his place in Annex. Annex is also in downtown, but no longer. And then Jokit running a space in Zongsan building, also in downtown, next to the Chinese.
No, actually, it took a while. The rice cooker shop we was at the annex started 2007, really early, 2007, and then we were there for about 3 years, I guess, and then we have to move out. A long, very long story about that because mainly, the owner or the people who runs the place decided to take over the space where we were because but they forgot that we were the one who brought a lot of people there. I mean, there are a few, not just me, not just rice cooker. There's the early Finders, and then you got Babao Cafe. Then you got a lot of stuff happening at that time. So for that 3 years was amazing, and then the management thought that they should do something else there because people are going there. But when we were kicked out or when we left, nobody went there. It died. And it totally died.
Yeah, I mean, like quite similar story happens in the big cities. I mean, like that's powerful. Yeah, it's also happened in Jakarta.
Yeah.
In
I'm
some
sure.
place also. But now you have a space in Zongsan building. I hope. Yeah, we know the who run the building, so it will be. I hope it will be a long time to have that.
Yeah, but I haven't been there for a while now. I've been busy working at home, so I'm doing a lot of my archiving at home nowadays. Even very rarely goes there. Yeah, but it's there. We're going to keep it. That's become mainly more like a storage. For me. And my...
Yeah, but it's very important, the storage.
Yeah,
Erick
it is.
Also, I mean, like Erick also posting about how he cares lots about space for the storage. So it's one important issue about the archiving.
I have a question to Mark. Actually, Mark, are you there?
Yo,
I can't
Joe.
see you. So, Mark, do you run Ujikaji from your house, or do you have a special place?
No, everything's from home.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And Eric, Eric, your space is like your house, is it? I mean,
Yeah. My studio and the main house.
oh, so you got a
Yeah.
separate kind of
Yeah.
building,
Not building, but we live in like a village
right?
subdivision. Then I have a like a detached house, which is my studio, but it's just a
Mm,
walking distance from my main house. So that's where I put all the cassettes and the vinyls before, but now
mm.
it overflows, so I had to move it in my brother's room or my sister's room. So yeah, but now, because I got some belongings from these two film personality, like Mario and Cesar Hernando. So I got their belongings. So I dump it in my studio. So it's very cluttered, and
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure.
So now
Yeah,
I need I'm planning to like maybe rent a dedicated space for everything, actually. But
right.
yeah, it's very hard.
Actually, I did a video of my storage here. If you guys want to see,
Yeah, please.
um,
Thank you for preparing the video.
I
I'm
thought I should show you
asking
guys.
too much.
So,
Your kid and others.
how do I share the?
And then please help us.
Okay, share screen,
Yes, share screen.
but it's disabled. I cannot share. The host need
The
to.
host, yeah.
Yeah,
You
Hello?
can the first.
You can actually share the screen, Tinta, because you're co-host, or
the host need to allow the guest to share the screen.
okay.
All right.
The host is Rupa will ask him then.
Yeah, I guess. And then I asked Joe, Kid, Eric, and Mark to share screen also later. So maybe you can also prepare for that also.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is wrong here?
Yes.
There's like two options, I think. Like share screen, and then there's like a share video or audio.
Yeah, it's video. Hold on, I found it.
Yeah.
It's just that where is it? My God, I lost it. Oh, okay, sorry. I think you guys should talk while I find this bloody file. I don't know where it is now. Actually, I put it all like together, one space, and now it's gone. Hold on, I'll take a find it. Okay,
We have time.
you have time? Okay, okay. So I just share screen, is it?
Yeah,
Put
try
it
it.
up. Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the.
All right, I got it there. Share screen. Share screen. Share.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You started screening sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play.
Okay, so
Okay.
Okay.
I'll show you the den storage space in my house. So let's turn on.
Joe, is this at Songshan building?
No, this is my
Oh,
house.
It's a mess. It's a huge mess.
Your kid house.
It's a lot of stuff.
So that
You have photocopy machine? There's a photocopy machine?
Those boxes.
Those-
Those actually letters.
Those are letters from the 80s and the 90s.
Correspondences in the 80s and the 90s
Can you hear what I'm saying there?
before email.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe you can also edit
that's the
because it's
vinyl.
quite a small sound from your
Some of them
video.
not,
You can just
I mean, not
please
all of
tell.
them are original. So they are my collection, things that I've been collecting since the 80s. There's a whole lot of mess here because we are actually the house. We are sending some stuff to Sabah, so I have to clear the space a bit. So some of the stuff I'm outside is inside here. But, some LPs there. Okay, this is boxes and boxes of music magazines, especially the English music magazine from the 70s. Let me go through here. Collection of books. If you can see up there, those are the fanzines. Those are the fanzines from the late 80s and early 90s.
So Joe, you turn on the aircon 24 hours?
No.
Let's go. All right. So that's a.
But it's quite high ceiling. Maybe the escalation is quite good also.
I got it in 1979. I frame it.
I hope.
Anyway, so over here, as all this like really the sex demo tapes and demo tape from the 90s. A whole lot of them.
Are your tapes in good condition, Joe?
3,
Thank
4,
you.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know.
And lovely cabinet.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's from Ilan.
Joe, how's the mold problem where you're at?
So this room is
No, it's
what I'm
fine.
Yeah, okay.
now going through slowly. Those are VHS tapes, some of them from the 90s shows that we took.
Wow.
Yep. Big Mac. So these constitute the rice cooker archive, which is mainly my own stuff. But the space that we have in Bongchang, there's a lot of stuff that was given to me by friends. So yeah, let's go out now.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
nice.
thank you, Joe.
Yeah, so you can see how much work I have to do. There's so much stuff. Like I said, at Zonsan, there's a lot more of the things that was given to me, and also the things that I managed to source over and things like this. I also did another video to show you where I work, but let's talk first. I'll show that later.
Okay.
I have a question. How do you maintain the room?
Okay, I'm quite lucky because the room is actually really dry, apart from one time I went out, I have the washing machine going, right? And I went out somewhere. And when I came back, the washing machine was broken and the water was running out straight into that room, So that was the only time that we had a bit of a problem. But then it's fine. I mean, I put on the fan, like 24 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And once in a while, I go in and put on the aircon. The room, when we first got this house, the room was supposed to be my home studio. Yeah, so that's where I work and then everything. But then slowly, I brought stuff from my parents' house, my mom's house, and it started filling up, a lot of things. Because at my mom's house, there's a lot of white ants, and there's problems with it. I lost a lot of stuff that I kept since 1979, man. Like there was, I had this.
Termite?
Yeah, termite.
Termites. So.
Termites, yeah. I had like cassettes and the most precious thing was my 2 scrapbooks where I did when I was 15, Yeah. So
It will be cute.
no, the scrapbook about punk rock. You know, I mean, it's all
Wait.
all the news item that I found.
Mm.
You know, when I was at school, I would have a razor, and I would go into the library, and anything that mentioned punk, I would, cut it out and put it on my scrapbook. But it's gone. Eaten
Oh.
by the white ants. You know, so
Mm.
yeah, that's a shame.
What did you do? I mean, it's eaten up by the termites or what?
Yeah, termites. Yeah,
Mm,
white ants, termite. Yeah. So
mm,
because I think somewhere in the 90s, my mom called me up and said, "What we're gonna do with all your stuff? You've been eaten by the termites." You know.
mm,
So I cannot ask her to keep it because it's her house and all this. You're gonna get problems. So she burned a lot of stuff. A lot of cassettes. I remember I recorded a, a, a lot of episodes from SBC, the Singapore Broadcasting, interviewing a lot of the bands from the 60s, like Impian Batiks, the Swallows, and all. And it's all lost. And my recordings from BBC World Service of John Peel shows, and
mm.
so yeah, it's a shame. I mean,
Maybe we can find in Singapore right now. I mean, the recording also. Right.
yeah, I
Right,
do.
Mark?
I do hope that the SBC they cap all those interviews. I'm not so sure.
I
I
think
do
it's
hope.
mixed. It's a bit mixed, yeah. Because in the early days, they don't really keep them so well as well. I think it's the same for everywhere because in the early days, they used to record
It's
over.
60s Italy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. The same
independent,
here.
right?
The same here. The same here.
So it's a big question mark.
Right, right. So yeah,
Mark,
it's a shame.
Can you tell us about your place? Where do you work?
No, I mean, everything's from home. If you're talking
Yeah.
about, I mean, I have my own personal collections. I have my shelves of stuff. I mean, the one of the questions I had actually was I was curious about Eric as well, and whether or not tape. How do you keep tape in where you are at? Does it hold well?
Well, I think I have the most problematic storage because the studio used to be like a garage, and we turned it into like a, I don't know, like a storage for the things that we don't want to. So I had to clear everything, but until now it's still piled up with with belongings from the families. So then I have a few collection before, and over time it uh so I had really to, like, maybe dedicate a separate storage for the archive, because I have problems with, I think, humidity in the Philippines. So and I can't afford the air conditioning and stuff. So yeah, so that's why every time seasonally, I always clean and check everything. But the termite, we already solved the problem. So I asked my uncle to, like, treat the studio for termites, because Cavite, I mean, my place, my province is really, like, we have, like, really termites here. So we had to treat the house.
Yeah,
And especially also the season here is, we only have, like, wet and dry. So every rainy season, so it's really
Yeah.
scary. So because I live alone in my house, so that's why. And I maintain, like, two separate house, my studio and the main house. So yes, so I think in terms of logistics, and it's very problematic. That's why I don't know, I really rush, like, digitizing everything. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's great.
I can show you like a photo. Is it okay to
Yeah,
like?
yeah. Let's see it, man.
Let's see a photo.
This is recent actually. Okay, maybe this share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Wow.
This is from the recent findings.
This is the well.
This is the
Wait.
stuff you rescued, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's on Facebook.
Okay, so this is the like the outside of the room of the studio. So it overflows. So this belongings is
Please, more,
from the Hernando
please
siblings.
show us the photos, the big one. Just this one. Just this.
Okay. Oh, so this is the outside. And this
Eric,
is
please pick the picture. We can. It's very small. Big one.
sorry. Big one. Okay.
Yeah, it's not opening somehow.
Maybe my internet.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
I think you need to share the window of the picture.
Here I already what?
Because now we only see your the Windows Explorer.
Maybe my internet because I tried it earlier. That's my problem with the.
Okay.
It has delay, I think.
Posting on Instagram also. I mean,
Well, Eric's been telling all these great stories of his rescues.
yeah, it's a very great story. It's like you can make a book with all, because like you live in Cavite, like how long to go to how long to go
Actually, it's sorry.
If Cavite is your place, your city is like the short part in the short part of Metro Manila.
Yes, it's we're on the south, like 2 hours away from Manila or Quezon City. Yeah. Recent because the one that I posted on Facebook, it was really it's like it's an accident. Like my sister know someone who's the niece of the Hernando siblings, and my sister asked me if I collect DVDs. Then I said, yeah, as long as it is like Tagalog or Philippine movies. Then apparently the owner of the collection is the Hernando brothers, Mario Hernando and Cesar Hernando. Their Cesar is a production designer of like classic films by Mike De Leon's, like Batch 81, Sister Stella L. And Mario is a showbiz journalist. And they both passed away, and they left their apartment with lots of collections, like DVDs, books, CDs, vinyl, posters, work related materials. Then the owner of the apartment, the landlady, was trying to like clear the house within that day. So the amount of the belongings was really, you cannot you know get everything. So the family asked for some, randomly, like, hey, can anyone, like, want these belongings, and please pick it up tonight, something like that. So I was like very excited, but at the same time I was like, how can I do this logistically, because I live far away, like, so yeah, I asked a friend in Quezon City to go there to check the situation and how we strategize. Then I asked a friend from my place to bring me there. Then we arrived there like around 10 p.m. and it's like really, we were like shocked by the amount of, because it's all like if you know Cesar, you, everybody, like, hey man, like, it's a good thing that you got, Cesar's work or Cesar's belongings. So I was like, okay, sure now. So I had to get everything that papers, ephemera, everything. Then I went back to my place and dump it there. Now until now we haven't finished assessing everything because I had it's a lot of things, like, especially the papers. I and we have also photos, personal letters from the family and from the colleagues. So yeah,
Wow.
so that's the photos that I showed you.
A great thing to start.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know Cesar and Mario personally. I just know them as a as a personality in film, because my circle is really into music and sound.
How many items did you get in the end, Eric?
Until now, I haven't assessed everything. And actually, according to some friends, there are few people who already initiated archiving Cesar's work, but I need to talk to them and cross-reference what items that we got and valuable for them or for for archiving. Yeah, maybe we rented an L300. It's like a L300 car, so it's a full of of belongings. And we already also had got paintings, actually, like big paintings.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's painting.
No. It's different paintings from. I think some of them were like gift or present to Mario or Cesar. Yeah.
I mean, like, beside Eric, we have a great news from Philippines since last year. I mean, like, Green Papaya also start to the lots of project of archiving. So it's just very nice to follow the news from Philippines right now. Do the archiving project in this pandemic time. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I'm very enjoyable to following all the projects from here. So it's very inspiring also.
So, Eric, what's happening to Green Papaya now? I mean, after the fire.
Well, I think after the fire, the archive was taken care of by an institution. I forget.
Okay.
So, but now I'm recently Asia. What's that?
Asia Archive.
Yeah, Hong Kong. Yeah. So they uploaded the archive of, I think, part 1 or phase 1 of the archive of Green Papaya.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least somebody's doing it instead of
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very sad what happened to the material archive.
So there's a lot that burned down anyway, right? I mean, a lot of the materials has gone, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, get burned. Some also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the photos. But I mean, like, yeah, but it's and then they do more project events after they declare they want to what's called to end the collective or green papaya. So it's amazing, amazingly from Philippines.
Yeah.
So Mark, we
Yeah.
want to hear your story. It's
Yeah.
feel like
Mark.
it's very mysterious here.
You gotta see. I mean, show your face anyway.
Mark, please tell us stories.
Well, let me see. So maybe I can talk about a recent project. This is a project that took place with. It was held in Mocha, Taipei. So that's the Museum of Contemporary Art in Taipei, and it kind of fell in place. It kind of like opened in December and kind of just ended recently in January. What happened is that I was working with I was the artist, and it was a show called Sound Meridians, and it was actually a project that presented 4 different kind of like music scenes within kind of like the region. So there was a work from Malaysia, there's a work from Taipei, there's a work from Singapore, and there's a work from Philippines. The Philippines work was from Dayang. And, yeah, so this show was actually about kind of like how each city or each country's kind of musical culture was kind of like kind of expressed in different ways. So what I did for my work, which I work with a curator, Chiwai actually from the observatory, is that we revive an earlier work that I had made, which was a kind of like a fake record store. So I had actually created a fake record store some years ago, and kind of like occupied a shopping center. And the idea about the fake record store is that the record store was called Melantun Records. And the idea about this fake record store was that it's supposed to hold both the past, the present, and also the future. So it was like this space where a musical history could exist alongside things that were ongoing, because we were also organizing like events and shows there. And then also the future was represented kind of like with some speculative artworks that I had worked with some other artists to do. So like speculative album covers, imagined future projects. Yeah.
Right.
So this was actually something. I mean, if you guys know, there's an old shopping center called Far East Plaza.
Yeah.
Far East Plaza.
Far East Plaza.
Far East,
Far East
yeah.
Plaza. It's
And
still
Joe might know this because
Yeah,
there
I
used to
know.
be a lot of record stores there. It
Yes.
used to be kind of like a place where a lot of the shops sold a lot of like underground music, and that's where you would go if you needed to get your independent music as well.
Yeah, back in the 90s, we Malaysian, guys from Kuala Lumpur will go down there to see shows, but also to go there and get stuff. And also
Yeah.
there's I believe, or that might be Peninsula, where they got like a skate shop and things like this, So,
Yeah, some of these older shopping centers used to have those kind of shops where a lot of the people, I guess, got their culture. So I guess the idea of this project, so basically, now the Far East Plaza is kind of like it's actually not doing very well, right? I think business is
Yeah.
not good. The building is old. A lot of the tenants are also kind of old, and a lot of the shops, of course, has closed down, and a lot of the record stores don't run anymore. So the idea was that because the shopping center wasn't doing so well as well, so there were a lot of empty units. So for this project, I basically occupied it for about it was meant to be about 1 to 2 months, but we extended it to about three months, and we used the chance to kind of display personal archives or other collections, as well as organize shows. So that was quite fun. And I think
what year? When it is the
I
project?
think it was 2017.
Ah.
And so I think the idea was that the record store became this space for like cultural and kind of like intellectual exchange. Whereas normally, I mean, there's this, normally, if you take a lot of like capitalist critiques of a retail space, right, it's kind of like just for commercial transaction. But for me, and I guess other people also would remember these places as actually very important to them because they learned a lot of things from there. They met a lot of people from there, right? They made probably lifelong friends from there. And it was also the kind of spaces where we used to kind of like discover new music that we wouldn't have known before, right? In the pre-internet days. Yeah. So that was what the project was about. So this new project, this new iteration of Melanton Records in Taipei was actually kind of like presented as like a pop-up store. And so within the museum, there was this pop-up space. And for this project, because it was quite contained, we, together with Chiwai, basically we discussed about presenting just one story. So we used this space to present this one story about Singapore's first or one of the earliest computer music composers.
Interesting.
So this is a person that actually has passed away. He passed away when he was rather young, in his late 40s. His name was Cao Jie, and he was actually better known as a classical kind of music composer. But he also dabbled with early computer programs. So this was actually, it wasn't that early, but it was in the 90s. It was pretty early for Singapore. So we basically told his story. Presented kind of like mind maps of his biography, also played some of his music, and then for the kind of more like contemporary or speculative parts, we also got contemporary artists to kind of remix his works. So that was the recent works. I mean, in terms of like I know Anita's been interested in looking at.
We want the link. We want the link in your Taipei project.
So the only the only problem about this project. The only problem about this project is that a lot of the materials is in Chinese. Yeah.
That's a Google Translate.
There is. So I can.
I guess I heard a part of your stories. During the residency in Taiwan, you go to the Kaohsiung, right? You go to the local record store. This is one of the back venue.
The funny thing about the unfortunate thing is that we did this exhibition kind of remotely. So we couldn't travel, so we had to send instructions and send stuff over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but in terms of
it's a great story. I mean, like the little space that tends to be capitalist. Only see it as the capitalist perspective. We can decolonize that perspective also in Southeast Asia. Shopping mall become like part of our culture in the big cities.
Yeah,
in the Philippines, SM. In Philippines, SM like very. But in Cavite, they have in Cavite they have SM with the palenque. It's very great one.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm really interested with your concept about the retail space market. I guess it's in Kuala Lumpur. What's the name of the plaza in Kuala Lumpur that place, Yoki? I forgot.
Central Market, right?
Central Market was like the birthing.
Annex place is in Central Market, right?
No, yeah, but you have to go back in time.
Yeah, back in time. So
the annex.
I forget the name of the plaza.
No, there's I mean, for people to congregate nowadays, I mean, not so. I mean, a lot. In terms of the scene, like in terms of the people who were making music, who were starting out new bands and things like that. For Kuala Lumpur, it was Central Market in the 80s. Yeah. But then by about 2000, I think 2005 was taken over, and then it became like really this kind of like really dead, plasticky kind of place, you know. So after that, everybody just meet up at restaurants to eat and hang out. Back then, you can still smoke at you can order teh tarik and you can hang out and smoke and the whole night, I mean, but nowadays you can't do that anymore. because of the anti-smoking kind of regulation. But anyway, nowadays I would say that the Amcot Mall is where people go in on the weekends, because that's where
Yeah,
you have the flea market, and then there are people who are selling music, selling T-shirts and all that. So it's because I remember Central Market back in the day. You don't need to call anyone beforehand before going, because you know there'll be somebody there, and so you can be sure your friend's gonna be there. So you just be there before, like say 7 or 8, and everybody will there to hang out until about 10 and go back. And I think MCOT Mall is a bit like that now, even though it's not like Central Market, the heyday of Central Market back in the day. But I have to say also, when Rice Cooker Shop opened and Babao Cafe was there, Find Us, and all these things, it was a hangout point, at least for 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and then it died out. And even Zhongshan, when it started open up, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the first 2 years, so there's a lot of people there all the time. There's a lot of things happening. But for the past few years, and maybe because of COVID also, then it kind of died down a bit. But there's always this congregation point. Like I remember in Singapore, there would be the forum back in the 90s, where you go and there'd be all the punks or the skinheads or whatever it is hanging out. So yeah, for Kuala Lumpur now, I can't really say, because I'm an old man now. I don't really, I don't really hang out with the kids so much. But I believe they do have their own spaces where they hang out. Like for me, I would go to Rumah Api once in a while to see shows and hang out. Otherwise, I'd be at home most of the time. So, but the thing about these spaces where people meet each other and started things, bands, fanzines, whatever. From my experience, it was the Central Market, where people from everywhere around the country would come and stay, and do projects, and suddenly just forming bands, things like that. It's really, really fertile ground back in the day. And
I hope I
also,
can read about the Central Market in that time. I want the link later. If there's a link to read about the
I
story
mean,
back then.
I think it was never really written, but if you go on Facebook, I think there's a few groups that talk about it. I mean, they put up pictures and things like this. Yeah, because it is a long generation of musicians that hang out there, artists that hang out there. Like since I would say, but around mid 80s, people start hanging out there already. Even to the point of the group, the Malay arts group, kind of like really loose coalition of artists called Anak Alam.
Anak-anak.
Anak Alam was around there, which is at the back there. It's called there's a place called Masjid India, which is at the back of Central Market, and they moved to Central Market when Central Market became like really something. So that's is the incubation of a lot of ideas in terms of art, in terms of music, in terms of a lot of stuff, writing, poetry or whatever. Yeah, but now it's gone. I don't know where they are now.
Yeah.
So those
How about in
people.
Cavite? Sorry, joking to cut.
No, what I'm saying, those people,
Obviously.
those people are now interacting on Facebook. That's my last thing.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a chance to visit your place. I mean, like visiting place is very great, but without notice, it's like very and meeting a lot
Yeah.
of people in the zones, and it's a great feelings.
Yeah, Zhongshan is still great. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a lot of things happening there. Yeah. But back in the day, Central Market is the place. Yeah.
So I have many fond memories of Central Market and the Annex. I mean, that's the place where I think that's actually the first place I played. I performed once. No, I mean I performed twice, but that was the very first place I played when I was in Malaysia. So first overseas gig.
Was that organized by Lee Kwang?
No, there was a Not That Balai festival.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, was that Lee
Okay.
Kwang?
No, it's what's his name again? I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
He's still doing a lot of great stuff. So they're now basically they have a gallery underneath the old Findas, the new one at Tarin Street. What is it called again? I can't remember the name now. but it's run by the same guys. Yeah.
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 So
And
I think
how about Cavite in Philippines or Metro Manila at least? You also
The
have
state.
that same memories also, Eric, maybe?
Well, I think in Manila because it's like the center. It's like a Manila centric, you know. I think in my experience during my younger years during the 90s, we used to go to like FB Harrison. It's a mall actually in Manila that there's a shops like skaters and like there's like high adventure, there's like outdoor apparel shops, which is connected to like Krishna Core. uh then there's like the Recto is still it's in the downtown Manila where these shops that sells records.
Yeah, that's where the punks were back in the
Yeah,
80s.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Where middle finger
yeah.
and
Middle finger. Yeah,
so
The
I think
building is still there.
yeah,
The
I think this
the
they're
building.
still there. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Middle finger
but
is still there.
still there.
Mm.
But yeah, but the before, I mean, prior to the 90s, I mean the 80s, there's still, I think, I don't know what's the happenings, or I mean you know the the places, before 90s. That's the two places that I know when I was a kid.
Mm.
But now I don't know where they hang out, or I think in Rector still, no?
I think. I mean, at least in I mean, the experience of Kuala Lumpur now is pretty much scattered. It's not like before
Mm,
where. Yeah.
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 Because maybe it also happens in Surabaya. I mean,
Yeah.
like at least we have Sito libraries. So it's a very but its Sito library is only in 2008. So before that, it's very hard to find that kind of places in Surabaya, and we are the second city. So it's very Jakarta centric. Seems like Philippines is only
Yeah.
Luzon is only Manila centric. And maybe also happened in Semenanjung also. It's very Kuala Lumpur centric also.
I
So
would
it's
say in Kuala Lumpur was more. I think because it's a large town, it's a big town, and also
Frank Valley.
from my experience, it gives you a lot of space to be yourself. I mean, the city gives you the space to at least look for yourself for what you want to do and things like this. Whereas if you live somewhere else outside, especially where I come from in the East Coast, it's a lot constricted. There's nothing happening. You can't really even initiate things to happen because the authorities would not allow you. So it's almost natural for everybody from everywhere to just come down to Kuala Lumpur and congregate and do their things and find themselves, and some of them would leave, some of them would stay and things like this. So yeah, maybe Surabaya is like that. Or
It's second city. I guess like in maybe like compared to like maybe I can compare like in Cebu. I cannot compare it Penang because Penang is I mean like there's a
no,
city.
Penang was really happening too, but
yeah. As a second city, I mean like I cannot compare with Penang, so maybe I can compare with Cebu.
Cebu, yeah,
In
Cebu Island.
Cebu.
Yeah.
Cebu.
As a second city, so it's
yeah, it's true, because I'm always looking out for new music, for labels and things like online. Always looking for things like, and Cebu is really happening. I mean, of course, Manila there's a lot more happening, but the Cebu scene is, I think, a lot more concentrated in some way because probably smaller, and then they got a lot more really good bands and really good recordings and very professional approach to what they're doing. Yeah. So yeah, but I've never been to Cebu. I wanted to, but no chance just yet.
Yeah,
Maybe,
even I think even the 90s. I mean, Cebu has really this vibrant and has the distinct, scene actually. So if you remember, I mean, the bands from Sheila in the Insects,
Mm.
uh, and even until now they have this labels that producing bands from Cebu, and even from the Visayas
Yeah,
province.
there's a label called Melt, I think, that really
Yeah,
put. Yeah,
Mel.
Melt is so active, and they're
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah,
very.
yeah,
They even put out Malaysian bands. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't even know.
oh,
I mean, I went to their band camp and said, "Hey, this is Malaysian band." So they've been in touch with a lot of people, and I
Yeah,
subscribed to their newsletter, and it's always happening. A lot of stuff. And do you remember the band called Junior Kilat? I think they're from
yeah,
there, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Reggae
yeah.
band,
Budoy, yeah,
and
yeah.
they are
Actually,
awesome, man.
and also, I think in the mid 2000 we met Chris Morillo,
Mm,
who's from Cebu, and he's been doing noise
mm,
stuff there.
mm.
So we were surprised because out from from Manila, we don't know who else doing noise, but apparently there's one guy from Cebu.
Mm,
Yeah, and also the band Bombo Pluto Ova
mm.
was a unit. They're really good, and even I think even in Davao, there's some interesting
Yeah,
bands.
I was following. I was trying to find out about Davao. I think probably about around late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm,
And I remember there's a bunch of punk bands that happening there, and of course they influenced by Green Day and Offspring and more
mm,
commercial kind of stuff.
mm.
That was in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And after maybe about 5 years, you got the crass band happening there already, like really
Yeah,
political and things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting to see how people got into the more mainstream kind of stuff, which is how it goes anyway. You're
Mm,
exposed to this mainstream music that's a bit so-called a bit different, and
mm,
then they started to go back and get into the actual influences and bring back the thing and start forming their own band, their own labels, things like that.
mm,
Really great, yeah.
and I mean also
mm.
the the city itself. I mean the territory itself. It will be give something different. I mean like Davao is port city, right? If I'm not mistaken, Eric.
Sorry, the
Davao is port city, right? Davao.
Davao is a city. It's the biggest city I think in Philippines or Asia. I
Mhm.
don't
Mm.
know. Yeah, it's a big city actually, Davao.
We never really heard about them so much. I mean, not much news about them.
What music is coming out from Davao?
Uh, it's what like early 2000. I went there, and
Oh, you
there's
went there?
there's one place there. It's called Durian Bar. So
Durian ba?
durian is the fruit, and it's like a place where people go there to hang out, and there's a there's a interesting bands played there. There's even like dub like there's one band there I saw some more leaning into like noise rock, you know.
So, so I have a
So
I
yeah.
have a question for you guys, right? So you guys like in your collecting projects or your archiving projects, how do you decide what you want to collect? I mean, like I have my own personal
Mm,
collections,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm interested, of course, in a lot of Singapore music, and of course a lot of Southeast Asian music also. But primarily, like the easiest access for me is Singapore music, and Singapore, of course, is small
Yeah.
and it's contained. But you guys are like living in cities with in countries that
Island.
are huge, right? Huge, many more times as big as mine, of course. So how do you decide, or how do you get what you collect? What you collect? Yeah.
Okay, let me go first. The thing is like I started out um, with more kind of like the underground music things.
Mm,
Basically the artifacts from the scene, the underground music scene. But then I realized there's a lot of the more older music is not being archived, and and I decided to kind of open up my work a bit, and that's crazy because there's so much, you know. So when you say how do I, you know, select the thing that I want to archive, I don't really have that sort of preference basically. Of course, my main thing is the 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 kind of like punk and metal and things in between them, you know that. But of course, indie pop also because I love indie pop anyway. But then there's a lot of other things, you know, that between them. And the rarest stuff would be the more experimental things that happened in the late '90s. But but that's very small, so I can't really. Actually, I got a lot of that already because I know the practitioners, you know, the people who are doing it. But the one that really getting me more interested now is like, what about like Malaysian funk or disco or things like that, you know what I mean? And the other interested thing is in the east coast of the peninsula in Malaysia, there's this traditional music like Dike Barat and Dike Karo and all these things that was having their own kind of like small industry. They do it at home and they put it on cassettes. You know, this is starting from the 60s, 70s. You know, I remember my dad would bring back all this cassette that he bought, you know, and that's actually never come to Kuala Lumpur, you know. So that's another point of interest actually. There's so many. And sometimes I just feel like, what the fuck, you know? I mean, there's so, you know, I do believe that what Mark is doing, kind of like narrow it down to Singapore, is a lot more, and it's a small place, so it's a lot more easier to do things, you see. But for me, I think I put myself in too much a large space, you know, to fill up, and there's so much. Yeah, so I'm facing that problem now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because as you discover more, you actually discover more areas to go into, right?
Yeah. There's a lot, man. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of the, you know, I think it was in the '90s. Yes, in the '90s, there's a dancer called Azanin, Dato Azanin. She did a special recording of the Mak Yung. I think it was a Mak Yung, which is the traditional dance of the Kelantanis in the East Coast. You know, and it was recorded in a proper studio, recorded by Bullet, my drummer actually, and it was very well done. But then I start thinking, what about other type of stuff that, you know, um, I mean, for me, it should be properly recorded. I mean, not just you go to performance and record it. I mean, of course, nowadays you have a lot of good mics and everything, but in a very controlled environment, and you get all the sound and things like that, you know. And those things are still like, and that CD that was put out is very, very rare now. Lucky I got it. So yeah, and also Mark, like you know, recently there was an artist, he died, and I was given his collection to digitize and things like this, and then I found there is this like acetate, like the, you know, before vinyl, what do you call it?
Shellac.
The
Shellac.
shellac recordings and stuff, and it's like that's one that I got recently. It's actually the national anthem, the Malaysian national anthem. 4 versions of it on shellac, you know, and that is like really rare because what I found out is like back in the day, because every state in Malaysia will have their own government-run broadcasting. So radio and television Malaysia or something like that, RTM, Radio Malaysia or Radio Malaya, whatever. So every state will have the where they do the broadcasting. So what they did was, because those days you can't really get local music. So what they did was they set up a studio here. This is in the 50s, I think, in Kuala Lumpur, and they have the composers and everything come to record all the songs that they want to play on the radio, and they will put it on they will press it on vinyl, like in a box, like in one box will have like 10 vinyls. It's almost like the BBC's thing they call the transcription vinyls. So they have a song list and everything. So those things got sent to each one of the broadcasting stations, and they play it there. I mean, from there to the people basically. But what happened is a lot of that gone missing now, because the studio themselves not keeping it. The radio station don't really care about. I mean, for me, it's very precious. But nowadays you can go to flea market and sometimes you find this thing being sold, so that's another point of interest. Again, there's so many, you see. But I think nowadays there's a lot more, I would say, there's a a lot more conscious about archiving. I mean, for the past, I would say 3 years, I've seen a lot of my friends saying, oh, they start calling their collection as an archive, which is for me is very good. And in terms of Malaysia, in terms of archive, we have the Penang Music House, which is concentrating on the Penang music from whatever era, from the 60s downward and everything. And they have a place where you can go and pay a bit of money, you can go see the exhibition, and they put out a book also. So that's one. And there is one online, this guy who just digitizing a lot of recording from the 60s and the 70s and put it online for people to listen to. That's one. And there is, I heard my friends in Ipoh, the city of Ipoh from the state of Perak, which is north of Kuala Lumpur, north of. And I heard they are going to start their own archiving project, which is really, really good. These are the things that we need. But we do have a lot of collectors around, people who collects. And sometimes they will share it on Facebook. But most of them also are selling off their collection very, very high prices. Like a Piramli recording, like a vinyl would be like 1,000 to about 3,000, 5,000 ringgit. It's fucking crazy. For archivists like me, I don't have the money to get those anyway. So this is happening, but there are people who are collecting and that people having more values about having this thing, so that's great. It's really that, because we never really had this culture of archiving actually. I mean, in terms of culture, you don't, but we have these pockets of people, saving all this old stuff, like recently there's this guy who just kept posting posters from films, Malay film that come from 50s, 60s, which is amazing, and then he recolor or something, but it's there, there's a lot. So there are people, and recently I found this guy who's putting out a lot of demo tapes from the underground music scene on YouTube. Like the whole tape, digitized, put it up with the cover, and it's amazing.
We want the link.
The link.
Yeah, I can give you all the link.
The link.
So one of the most amazing projects I've seen from the region is actually the one from Indonesia, Irama Nusantara.
Yeah.
And they're ready. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, and the just the volume of things of music there is incredible. Yeah, and just
that's David Tarragon.
Yeah, David Tarragon and Alvin Yuan.
But imagine, you imagine how big is Indonesia, and
Yeah, it's all big.
And I'm sure like David gonna lose his hair, man. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I visited one island in Maluku. Maluku is the east part of Indonesia, and there's only one house. There's one house. The man is own vinyl. Even like they don't no longer have the player. But they just keep it as the memories.
Wow.
That's important.
That's you can imagine how lots of the collectors spread all over islands in Indonesia.
Yeah, amazing. That I tell you a story. We're telling stories, right? I'm gonna tell you a story. There's one time, Hari Raya, celebration time, I went back to Terengganu, and my friend would, for a few days we're walking around town because I rarely go back. And that's why when we were at school, that's why we hang out and things like this, right? And then along this street, my very old friend, he's my schoolmate, since we were like 13. And I said, hey, Joe, you know that place sell vinyl? And I scream at him. I said, what the fuck, man? I mean, I've been with you for the last 3 days. You didn't tell me this for the first thing that you should tell me. This is the place. So I went there, and it's already at the end of their stock. A lot of stuff gone missing. So I talked to the guy, and he said, what happened was the city need to had this project to to build a road across this kind of township, like like all this village, but there's a road going through that place. So what this guy did was he went to each house and asked if they have records.
Wow.
Yes. So and he got all this record, and he hired. I mean, he ran this small store and start selling it. And by the time I found it, it was already 5 years. Already 5 years of selling all this vinyl.
It's still left.
Yeah, I still managed to get like this much, but without covers, But still, for me, and it was pretty cheap. But
I
that's
can
the end of
imagine
it.
that. I can imagine that. This also will happen in Indonesia.
Yeah. So I think that happened a lot the past 10, 20 years, in the sense that a whole village need to be demolished. So a lot of people just kind of throwing stuff away. And it's a shame I didn't get it though. I mean, most of it I got some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the same thing happening in Manila or anywhere also. I remember when I was there, 'cause I was doing my research, right? I would see all these old punks. Hey, you still got that?
Yeah.
I said no. They would say like they got flooding, they got fire at their house.
Fire.
Yeah, and all those things. So, which is why when I came back, I decided to do this archive, because I started thinking, a lot of the early recording in terms of the underground music scene, which in Southeast Asia, it started in Manila in 79, 80, So there's a long history there already, which are missing, But I'll tell you a story again. One of the first punk band, actually the first punk band in Manila, the Jerks, right?
Yeah, the Jerks.
There's a band called the Jerks, started out in 1979, and they recorded a 4-track demo. And last year, somebody sent me the tracks. It's amazing, because for me, I thought it's lost, but it's not. I heard somebody in the US is going to put it up on cassette or something like this. But it's a great story, because this band is very, very important. Like Chico Pura.
Chico Pura.
Yeah, Chico Pura is still active now, and very, very political too. I mean,
yes.
He's like one of the heroes, basically. So to know that that recording is still around is amazing.
What year was the demo, Joe?
I think it was recorded 79 or 1980. 4 tracks. Yeah, and because at that time in Manila there was a radio station called DGZRM. Is it?
Yeah, DCRM.
DCRM, yeah. DCRM, yeah. And
is this the RJ radio?
Yeah, the RJ radio with Howling Dave.
Howling Dave.
So this guy Howling Dave. He was supporting a lot of the 70s Pinoy rock. So that station basically just for Pinoy rock. And then he met. This is the story I heard, because I went for the interviews and everything. I interviewed his girlfriend. So his girlfriend at that time, Delilah, was this kind of like a jet-setting socialite,
Yeah.
She was in India during the hippie time, that. She got all these records. She got all the Sex Pistols. She got all the early new wave recording, and she gave it to the boyfriend, which is Howling Dave. And Howling Dave is having like weekly shows. I think weekly, maybe, I don't know, twice, I don't know. And he has his show, and he turned his show totally into new wave and punk. And that's the point when all these kids start hanging out at the studio, getting drunk outside there, and they start recording and start forming bands. And then he would play the demos, So one of the first demo that Howling Dave played in terms of the Filipino punk band was the Jerks, and those are the songs, There's a long story. So what I'm saying, that's the beginning of it, and it's very, very precious for me. I don't know how, it's really, really important. Yeah. So yeah.
Also, I remember in the 90s there was this LA 105 radio station. It's NU 107. So there's like two radio, rock oriented radio stations.
Yeah.
So yeah, LA 105 was like, this kind of eclectic punk, hardcore stuff, and then NU 107 like playing like music from America, from
More like new
Europe.
wave, a lot of new wave
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, a lot of new
yeah,
wave,
yeah,
a lot of
yeah, yeah.
post punk kind of thing. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So in terms of kind of what you call a new music, Manila was really happening back in the 80s. The first post punk band was from there. There
from
was the
the
first rockabilly band from there. You know what I mean? All these things hasn't been totally. I mean, the stories hasn't been really told proper. You know, because in the 80s I was in touch with a lot of the guys there who were making fanzines like what I was doing here. So I
mm,
got to know. Me and my friend, we were so jealous because they have bands and stuff. Because we were just punk going around with Mohawk, whatever it is, but no bands, you know. And they
mm,
already have bands and they have gigs and they have the fanzines and things like that, you know. So that's the place before it started to become bigger everywhere else in the region. That's the yeah. I mean, it's almost like they started almost around the same time as the Japanese,
mm,
and all those
mm.
artifacts is very very important. And they say it's burned in the fire, that flooding, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's very very sad.
Eric, are you collecting like the early Filipino kind of like punk music?
Uh, yeah. Well, my collection is actually like fragments of what I got along the way. Actually, I started collecting when I was young, cassette tapes. But I'm really into, like, during that time I was fed up by these commercial radios and commercial TVs. So I don't really into this kind of like underground of or left field. But when I met Lirio Salvador in was the mind of Elemento.
Yeah,
Uh,
Elemento.
I got this chance of like meeting some of the from the underground,
Yeah.
especially from the 80s and 90s. So but the collection per se is more accessible.
Mm.
Yeah, but I have a collection. I remember when I was in high school, I started collecting. Uh, they call it alternative music. Basically, it's like a folk song, social relevant music during the late 80s and 90s. So I think my collection would be more on the missing link in terms of the music histories, because I remember I got the stories of these cassette tapes released by Shant Verdun, who is a member of Pinikpikan, a world music band. He produced two albums in the 80s, and it's actually it's when you hear it, it's a mix of field recording and sampled bass music, but more in a new age aesthetic.
Mm.
So you hear, like, the nature.
Mm.
You hear some of the chanting of indigenous people. So I was intrigued by this recording. So but the time I got to listen to it, it was already 2000, and I had the chance to get the two copies from a collector.
Mm.
And I think nobody, a few people would know Chant Verdun and the two recordings. So but if you think of it, there's no venue or avenue or platform that you could hear that recording, because it's really, circulated in a few circles, or even, in the art, people.
Yeah.
So my realization was, Manila or Philippines music, there are a lot of collectors collecting punk, rock, reggae, rock and roll, or even the Manila sounds. Uh, but no one, or there's no dedicated archive for very, like regional
Mm.
or very obscure
Mm.
music, or
Mm.
non-commercial. So I think my my focus in with my archive is really leaning to that kind of collection.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah.
Also, because I am also a practitioner of experimental music, so yeah, I do archive experimental histories here in the Philippines.
So there are nobody else doing what you're doing? I mean, do you know of any other
I
people?
know people like collectors and DJs. They
Mm.
have collections. Then they're focusing, most of them were like focusing on the 60s,
Yeah.
70s, funk,
Mm.
soul, disco,
Yeah.
yeah, rock and roll, Manila sound,
Mm.
and few collectors focusing on, punk, metal stuff. But I don't, haven't met a guy who's collecting like novelty stuff
Mm.
or non-musical stuff, because
Right.
I in my collection I also have this collection of audio cassette tapes. These audio tapes were from the OFW, the Overseas Filipino Workers, during the
Ah.
70s and 80s. So I started collecting them and asking relatives, friends, or even thrift shops, or then I collect them and then archive them in and put it in my collection. So that kind of selection, I think it's important as well to like archive or digitize anything that's uh, re- anything that with regards with sound, audio, and histories of I think cultural or arts and stuff.
When the other day I did same thing like a talk like this with Dayang. You know Dayang, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because she's teaching at UP or something like this. So
yeah, yeah.
anyway, so the UP students, they were actually involved in the archiving cultural stuff,
Mm,
for the Philippines. So they have a special arm, a special department in UP University to do this, and they have the students to work on it and things like this.
mm,
But I don't know how far they go or how back in time they're doing. I would say maybe they're concentrating more on the art side or the film music and things like this. I think I don't
mm.
know, but
Is that the ethnomusicology side?
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Joe,
But
sorry, Joe, do you mean Dayan Iraula?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Dayang. No,
yeah.
yeah, Dayang worked with the UP University of the Philippines Musicology Center, which is the house for Jose Maceda collection, the
Yes, yes,
composer.
yes, yes. That's
So
the main
yeah,
focus. I heard. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. But also in Singapore, Mark, I remember. I think it was Ivan. His name. He used to play with opposition party, and after that, I think Odd Fellows. I think
Evan Tan.
Evan Tan. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Everton.
he was working at the. I mean, he was conserving. He was digitizing all this stuff since the late 90s. I think, isn't it for the museum or something like this?
So he was working at the archives for quite a long time ago. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's left quite a while ago.
Yes, I heard also, yeah. But he was, for me, among my friends, I think he was the first one who was doing that. as a job, basically, not for himself or his own thing. And I do wonder what sort of recordings that he managed to save from back in the day. So much stuff. Yeah.
I have a question. How do you sustain the archive financially, or like, because you
That's
mentioned that you get the records from the market. How do you manage to get with that?
I mean, to afford to get it. I mean, for me, it's from my work, and I got a bit of money,
Mm,
And then when I see it being sold, I try to get it. But I have to tell you, the main idea for my archive is not so much getting the actual physical thing.
okay.
Because I can't afford anyway most of it.
Yeah.
Well, even now, like cassettes, there's a band, my friend's band, put out like last year, and they put out the second pressing of the cassette, and I saw it was selling now at 350 ringgit for cassette.
Mm,
So the value of this thing is just going like explosive, like crazy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I mean, when I started this archive, for me, let's say you have a collection, Eric or Mark, and I would go to your house, I would bring my recorder or something like this, and I would scan the images, took pictures. I just want the data. I don't really need
Yeah.
the physical copy because for me the more important thing is the sound that come from it, and the writings on the sleeve or whatever it is, and if you have fanzines, things like that. To
It's,
get, of course, I would love to try and get all those things, but of course, I mean, I'm financing
yeah.
it myself, and there's no way. So,
Mm,
but it's good enough. I mean, it's great. I mean, I can put it out on the website, and I can, do all the data about them, the history and things like this.
mm.
Um, Actually, I can show you the website that I've been doing. Can I?
Sure.
Um, Hold on. I have it here. Oops, where is it now? Hold on. Ah, shit. Okay. Uh, where is my website? Oh, everything is hung a bit. Okay. I'm just gonna show you Germanism. Sorry, the line is a bit slow on my side. Might take a while. Sorry, man. The line is so slow. It's like the page is not
Yeah.
opening up.
Yeah. It's okay. Is that what's the platform for the website? Is it how do you? I mean,
I've been doing this. Hold on. I show you the page. Okay, this is a secret website that I've been doing. Can you see that?
yeah.
It's called Germanism, which is like a term that we always use back in the day in the scene.
No longer secret then. Is there
No. What I'm saying is this website is not accessible to the public.
Mm,
I use it to, like I say, I open up a page here. This is a comparison. So you
mm,
can see
Wow, Joe, that's
Um,
awesome.
and then the
It's
details of it.
Germanism. I'm curious about the
Yeah.
name.
Okay, German was a term that me and my friends used when the scene was starting. That's I think it comes from the north, where most of the kids in the scene came from, and it means that if you want to do something, just do it. It's German. I mean, even if you don't know how to do it, you just take it and do it. I mean,
That's
so
DIY, yeah.
yeah. So in my idea was when I'm writing the book, I'm going to call the book as Germanism. because that's the philosophy of what we were doing. So anyway, so this is the type of pages that see. You can see on top, if you follow me, you got Philippines there. Do you see?
Yeah. Philippine recordings.
Recordings, the shows, the fanzines, the collected articles. Malaysia also the same. Indonesia, Cambodia, and East Asian also. I mean, not so much our my focus, but still.
When you launching this, Joe?
I'm slowly like putting up details. I don't want to put it up and it's not, I'm a bit of a control freak somehow. So anyway, this propaganda. If you go to the propaganda, this is where punk rock started to come here in the region. Like this Time magazine report was like really important for a lot of us in 1983. So yeah, like this, like Straight Time Singapore, like they're saying that they're finally going to allow punk rock records to come in, and this is from 1977. So yeah, so let's go back to the main page. So this is how what I'm doing basically. So let's say there's a band. I mean, this is like one of the earliest punk band in Indonesia called Antiseptic. So I'm doing all the research now, collecting all the stuff about them, and putting it all together. And they're gonna be details of how many, like their biography, their discography, and selected songs that I can put up and things like this. It's gonna be huge. As you can see on the category down here, it goes back to the 70s, goes down to like 90s and all that, And this is the project in a sense. But once it's all like, when I'm ready to put it to the public, then I'm going to put it on the Rice Cooker Archive website. You see, this is like on a secret site, which I would go almost every day to put new things that I found and pictures and things like this. Nice. So yeah, okay.
Well, Joe, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm just wondering if you actually just launched it and then you can still update it.
Yes,
there's so much stuff to consume anyway.
Yes, and the plan is actually to have people commenting. I love it when people commenting and say, okay, my brother used to play in that band or things like this, because when I was running the rice cooker shop, the rice cooker .com, the rice cooker shop.com, I put out some of the articles and people start coming and say, hey, there's one, do you know that in 1972 there was a rock festival in Kuala Lumpur called what we call the Woodstock of Kuala Lumpur. And I was writing a very long time ago about it, because I remember it when I was younger, people telling me about it. And then these guys who were there, who were who are now living in Australia and all that, start writing in because they found the article and start sharing what they did there, and then the amount of drugs that they were doing and things like this.
So you will launch this year this secret project?
Yeah, I hope so. But we are now in the midst of because I'm moving to Sabah.
Really? When? When it will be?
Hopefully by around the end of this year. So, which is why when I show you the video just now, you can see a lot of stuff that I've been been packed, because those are the things from the house inside the house. I have to put it inside there because I'm packing up some stuff. So the idea is for me to really set me and my girlfriend, we're gonna start this space over there in some sense. Her studio and my archive is gonna be based there, and so everything's gonna be there. So that's gonna be the base. So I do believe that some of the projects that I have now will be released this year. But it's ongoing. I'm like I don't know. I do things very slowly because I'm like I said before, I'm a control freak in some ways, and kind of like think that it should be like really perfect. Like people opening up, wow, I like that. Instead of
it's perfect, Joe.
It's already perfect. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
We only have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, please promote the radio show to our friends.
Which radio show?
Or at least we can record it also, so we can also
My radio show? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just starting out the radio show again. It's got the rice cooker, the rice cooker radio show, and it's on Mixcloud. If you go to Facebook, the rice cooker archive, then you see the posting of it, and I just finished last night another set list of songs that I selected. So I'm thinking the third episode gonna appear maybe tomorrow or the next day. So that's just go to Mixcloud and look for the rice cooker archive and the rice cooker radio show, and then you get it. Yeah. Okay.
One question, why you put on Bahasa Malaysia?
Okay, that's the thing. My mother told me when I was younger, even when I have nightmares, I will somehow voice out in English, which is funny. I guess because I was so interested in English since I was very, very young. Now, okay, back in the 80s, I think 70s, 80s, English, I would say a large of the population will understand and could converse and read and whatever it is. But ever since then, the how to say, what's the word? The usage is not as important anymore. Everybody goes start doing Malay and everything, which is the way, I guess, And I thought that maybe I should start doing that also. I mean, all these years, like almost 30 years in the underground music scene, we always been using English because for us it's a globalized kind of thing. We can send our writing to Italy or Peru, and then there's not a matter, and then even our music also. But then when the Indonesian really take it into their own language and did it really well, you see. But in Indonesia, the history of language is different in a sense compared to in Malaysia. We were the British colony, and there's a lot of remnants of the English education and things like that. So for me, it was almost natural to do in English. But now, looking at the new generation of kids nowadays, it's pretty much a lot of them sometimes wrote to me, say, Joe, why don't you do it in English? Do it in English? Do it in Malay. And I thought, okay, it's a bit of a struggle for me, of course, because I come from the East Coast in Terengganu, so we have our own slang. I mean, kind of like way of talking in Terengganu when you talk in Malay.
Put on your I want to hear and put in the note. So I can hear it.
No, sometimes I was just like, I will be mentioning like voicing like Terengganu kind of word, So, yeah, but I think it's getting better. For me, I just have to do it, and then to the act of doing it, I will make it better and better, and hopefully anyway. So that's the way, I guess. Just go and do it anyway. Yeah. And Mark, you're doing this radio show. I know that you have Miss Cloud, but I don't know that you've been doing a series of it.
No. So anyway, what's new is really there's a Black Country Radio, which is a 4-part radio show that's done between Uchikashi and the Observatory, and it was really meant to come out. It started late last year. And why we did it really is because we can't do shows basically during this period, right? So we were thinking how best to actually still keep the scene active and also to present new music. So actually a lot of the music for the 4 shows are new commissions. And what we did is that we kind of like had 4 segments containing, one is like unreleased works. Like, so basically we were planning this during like our own lockdown. So we were thinking like everyone's stuck at home. What are we gonna do? So
it's new music. You commission the people to do the music, send it to you, and then you put it up. Is it?
Yeah. So one segment was actually unreleased music. So like people were actually going through, of course they had a lot of time at home, so they were like going through their own archives as well, right? So one segment was like getting people to go through their old music and then see what works. one segment was like interviews, getting people to interview one another, getting musicians to interview artists or vice versa. One segment was something we call houseworks, which was getting musicians to create something in the house. Like everyone's, my personal favorite is actually there's a Chinese artist Yan Jun who pushes his IKEA trolley around the house.
Awesome, man.
Nice.
Great.
And then the last segment was actually something that we called Making Audible, which combined like three parts. Somebody who came up with a text, maybe either poetry or something more dramatic. Then they had somebody will read it, so there's some spoken word element, and then there will be some musician or musicians who do the music behind that. So kind of like kind of just stimulating, things to happen. And we have local artists, but we have regional artists as well, and also outside of the region. It's basically all over the place. Yeah. So we did 4 episodes of that. We just aired the last episode. You can find it. I mean, you can just search for Black Kaji Radio, or you can check out either
Black Kaji, right?
Black Kaji.
Yeah.
Black Kaji.
And then the other thing Black Kaji itself was an initiative between the observatory and Ujikaji. And the other thing that we're doing actually is doing a radio show, 1 episode for Nusa Sonic.
Right.
So Nusa Sonic is kind of like the, I don't know what you might call it, like the alliance of independent organizers around some of our countries, right? So there's also Wasak is involved, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will be coming out later in the year. I mean, it's already come out, but the Singapore one, the Black Kaji one, will be coming out later in the year. I mean, that's what we've been doing.
So is it like like you do once every month, or is it like a regular, or it's not?
So for the ones that we did, the 4 episodes, that was actually just like a series. We we never plan long term because there are other things to do.
True, yeah.
So
I hope you get funding. It's like very Singaporean. They're good, very neat. Put the notes, transcribe the interviews, describe all the artists very well informed. So I really enjoy. I'm very pleased to hear only 4 episodes. Please, I hope you get another funding, Mark.
Thanks, Anita. I also just wanted to maybe mention also that if you all are familiar with kiosk radio, they actually are doing this whole new program for the year where they have invited independent labels to do a series of radio shows for them. So actually, kiosk radio has they are, I don't know whether they're 24 hours, but they have a huge long programming. So they've actually gotten, like Ulikaji is involved, but also like Yes No Wave from Indonesia, DVC 62 from Indonesia, and a lot of other regional, all over the world actually. So Ujikaji will be doing radio half an hour slot, just a half-hour slot monthly starting in March. So that's my own personal thing.
Great news.
Yeah.
Cool.
Later, I will mention. I will ask you later the information so I can tweet. I love
Hey, so Eric, do you do like a streaming also of your stuff?
As of now, no. But I'll be launching. I started a label actually, so I'll be launching a label. Hopefully by next month. It's called Wrong Records.
Wrong, RONG.
Your email.
It's a wrong and wrong. wrong. It's like wrong records.
Great.
It's like right records. Wrong records.
It's Asian English. It's like Asian English. We will play with the English with always. This is nice thing.
Yeah. So I'll be releasing Lirio's independent cassette, but the music is produced. The music is by Lirio's dogs. So that's the album.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is
about
like
about dogs. Sorry.
Yeah, dogs. Because Lirio recorded and released like a 10 copies of cassette tape. He recorded himself playing few sounds from the Sandata, but with his dogs.
Yeah. I mean, like a few tracks on the Black Kaju radio also put cats doing the art residency. So it's a great story. So we will have another records about those. So, but yeah, thank you, Eric, for sharing your creative project, and also Joe Kid and Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very
so much,
great
guys.
time.
Thank you, Ruangrupa.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You all the great storytellers. So I.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Anita.
we can talk like for hours and hours. There's so much thing to.
Yeah, let's have some beer now.
Nice.
All right.
Actually, it's been 2 hours, and then it's amazing to hear all your stories on this archiving and things that need to be discussed further on in many different opportunities or in many different events and occasions. Thanks again for your time, Joe, Eric, and Mark.
Thank you,
and also Tinta for your
Thank you.
time to be the host and storyteller. And then this YouTube live of Walkie Talkie 10 is always on the YouTube, and anyone who want to listen to the stories are having their time to listen it later after this. I think, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Again, thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you.
Say hi from
Bye.
Makassar.
Be safe.
Yeah, thank you. Stay healthy.
Thanks, Marwan.
Yeah.
See you for the
see you.
next plans, Joe, Eric, and Mark. Maybe I hope we will have a next chance to talk about
Anytime.
things. Yeah, love to